One charged with graft. Extra. Read all about it.
Would you be after buying a paper?
I'll buy one right now.
You're a fine brat of an Irish lad there.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Where can I find the M.E.?
Oh, the MEN. Well, it's right down the corner.
The managing editor.
Oh. Is he expecting you?
Is he expecting me? Well, didn't you see today's headline?
No. What's it say?
David Flynn joins Enquirer staff. Receptionist advised to respect his importance.
Through the city room.
Thank you.
Fresh?
Uh-huh. And you're pretty, too.
Come in. All right, I'll see we'll get Mr. Prider's approval on this and put it through. Yes?
Mr. Stroud, I'm David Flynn.
Punctuality, that's what I like. That's a good start, Flynn.
Time and events wait for no man.
You memorized our legend?
Yes, sir. Thank you. It was easy. I delivered the Enquirer for 2 years when I was in grade school.
Did you hit the porches every time?
Well, it was more fun tossing them on the roof.
Thanks. David Flynn, eh? State School Journalism, winner of the Prider Scholarship, right?
Yes, sir. That scholarship means you're stuck with me for 6 months while I get my feet wet as a newspaper man.
Mr. Prider owns this newspaper, and if he wants to inflict scholarship students on me, I take it and like it. You're the fourth university student who has stood by my desk, waiting to bear the banner of journalism. Know what happened to the other three?
One's a press agent for a strip show, one's in the bail bond business, and the third is out chasing uranium rainbows.
And where do you expect to wind up?
Right behind your desk, when you move over.
Many are called, but few are chosen.
That's Matthew. Roman numeral 18:14.
Now let me have a quote from Flynn, 21 semicolon. I want to see how you write.
About what, sir?
Oh, knock off a column on your life. When you were born, how you grew up, what you think about.
What I think about?
Not including girls. You'll find a typewriter out there in the city room.
Excuse me. You think Mr. Woodruff would mind if I used his typewriter?
Help yourself. Maybe some of Mr. Woodruff's genius will rub off on your copy. Or vice versa. Here's that biography on Frank Hoffman, up to but not including whatever afterlife they reserve for county liquor czars. It's all ready, just in case.
Strauss speaking. Yes? Yes. Okay, I'll send a man right over there. We may need this biography as a police stakeout at Hoffman's.
You want a leg, man?
No, I already have one. Oh, friend, come here, please. Dave, shake hands with Ned Powers, our city editor. Ned, this is our new scholar, David Flynn.
Welcome to the staff.
Thank you.
Dave, do you know who Frank Hoffman is?
Yes, sir.
We've got a tip his life has been threatened. Run over there and see if the police have put a 24-hour watch on his house.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'll do a good job in my first story.
About the story, just get the details. Then report to Hugh Woodruff at the City Hall. Press room. Don't ever go over Woodruff's head. Elsie, make out a press card for Mr. Flynn. Give him the address and all the necessary information, will you?
Yes.
Good luck.
I didn't get a chance to finish this, but it is starting. I'll be seeing you, Mr. Powers.
I'm afraid you will. Paul, you're a great friend of Prider's. Can't you get him to lay off sending us these rah-rah boys?
The newspaper has to get fresh material from someplace. You and I won't always be here.
I know. But why does each one have to be a carbon copy of the last one?
They're not all carbon copies. Listen to what this one wrote. From the time David Flynn was old enough to think, to reason, to conjecture on his niche in society, he wanted to be a journalist. Always to David Flynn, newspapers were the mirror of a people's mind an expression of their souls, a reflection of the world they live in. Not bad, eh?
Pollyanna couldn't have said it better.
A little heavy in the wording, but I think if we're patient, this boy might really have something.
Yeah. I hope I don't catch it from him. I had it 20 years ago. Barely recovered.
Ned, what do you really think of this boy's ideals?
Just a minute. You looking for someone?
Fred. I'd like to speak to Mr. Hoffman.
Anything wrong, boys?
Mr. Hoffman, I'd like an interview, please. My name is David Flynn. I'm from the Inquirer.
He's clean, Mr. Hoffman.
I'm in a hurry. What do you want, Flynn? Mr. Hoffman, do you have any idea what person is threatening your life?
Yes. Thumb through the Metropolitan phone book and pick a name. Any name.
Or do you think these threats are serious or just the work of a crank?
Let's just say I don't regard them as get-well messages.
Daddy, I forgot my book. I'll be right back.
Mr. Hoffman, how does Mrs. Hoffman feel about these threatening letters?
Mrs. Hoffman is prematurely gray. Does that answer your question? We'll follow you downtown, sir. You better shove off, Flynn.
You could get harpooned coming in like that. You want in? Darts or nickel each, winner take all.
No. Look, I'm sorry to interrupt your game. Are you Mr. Hugh Woodruff?
Me? You, Woodruff? No, I don't think so. I'm only a pint-a-day man. Woodruff's the convenient family two-quart type.
What do you want? You from the finance company? You want to get Woody's car back?
You'll never find it, Mac. Paints it a different color every day. Say it's two-tone. Hangover purple and elephant pink.
Look, when you fellas stop with the jokes, will you tell me which one of you is Hugh Woodruff?
Robert, sir, have you seen anything of Hugh Woodruff?
I think he went that way. It's the time of day he usually flies around the building.
I'm two up, last shot. Anybody want to bet an extra quarter on the side?
I'll cover you.
Good.
Operator? Operator, this phone seems to be out of order. Could you ring me back right away? Hello? Oh, you mean Hugh Woodruff? No, I'm sorry, he's not here.
Just a minute. Give me that phone. Woody. Hey, Woody. City Hall, Woodruff. You got your wires crossed, honey. I didn't report this phone out of order. Those operators just can't leave me alone. Fascinating me.
Mr. Woodruff, my name is David Flynn. Mr. Starr of the Inquirer told me to report to you.
What do we got this time? Phi Omega or Kappa Alpha?
Never mind that. I've got the biggest scoop you ever saw.
Good. You fill it with vanilla and chocolate. Make mine a double-decker.
All right, Mr. Woodruff. If you don't want an exclusive, I'll spread it around. Frank Hoffman just got blown to pieces.
So what else is new?
Well, I saw it myself.
Lucky you.
Mr. Woodruff, if you don't phone this in, I'm going to go over your head and do it myself.
Now, wait a minute, Flynn. We got the news about this 20 minutes ago on the police radio. Papers will hit the streets before you can pick up the phone.
Oh. Well, I don't see how all of you can be so blasé about a murder.
We've seen the picture before, kid. Sat through it dozens of times.
Well, this one's different.
What's different about it? The liquor czar got knocked off, so what? Czars are notoriously poor insurance risks.
Yeah, but this time Hoffman's little girl just missed being killed with him.
Look, kid, if you're going to worry about every little girl that almost got hurt, you've got a long life of suffering ahead of you.
Well, I think somebody ought to do something to stop that kind of thing.
Not my job. It's up to the voters. This city is swarming with political vermin that could be stamped out of existence with an X in the voters' booth. If the voters aren't interested, why should I be?
Well, all I know is I saw a man die today, and I feel bad about it.
Now, that's what I admire. A reporter with a heart. We've been too callous, fellas. This kid's taught me a lesson.
Yeah, me too. Dave? You did say your name was Dave, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
We're going to rip this town wide open. A lot of things going on around here that should be exposed by the searchlight of journalism. As a team, we can do it. We'll work night and day. We'll scoop every paper from here to Spodunk and back again.
Yes, sir. What do you want me to do first?
Well, let me see. How bad was Hoffman torn up?
I don't know. I didn't wait around to see. I thought I'd better bring the news right here to you.
Well, the morgue's downstairs. You hop down there and tell the coroner you want to take a look at Hoffman's body. And you can do a color yarn on death by violence. Capitalize on the shocking nature of the crime, the danger to innocent bystanders. I'll get going.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Mr. Woodruff. I'll do my best. Fellas, save some darts for me. When I come back, I'd like to join your game.
Hi.
Hi. My name is Flynn of the Inquirer. Woodruff sent me down to look at the Hoffman body.
Woodruff. Oh, there's not much left of it to see, son.
Oh.
This your first trip to the morgue?
Yeah. It's my first day on the job.
The body's in locker 6. Just pull on the handle. It comes out on rollers.
Thanks.
Sure you wouldn't care for a drink before you go in?
Oh, no, I never drink on the job.
Sure you wouldn't change your mind?
No, thanks. I'm sorry. I guess I kind of pulled it up.
Oh, I'm used to it. Most of the first trippers, they fold up at the locker. You made it back through the door. That's par for this course. You sure you wouldn't have a little more?
No, I have to write a story of what I saw in there. Thanks a lot, Garner. I'll see you again.
Sure. Drop over anytime.
Hey, watch it. Where did Woodruff go?
He went that way.
What's up there?
A female. She works in the DA's office, 1 floor up. Woodruff sneaks up there about 7 times a day and chases her around the desk. She had the corners rounded to make it easy for her.
Come on now, don't rib me.
Oh, it's no rib. Her name is Laura Stewart.
And what a filly. If you hurry, you may be just in time for the second race.
Good morning, darling. But that's enough. I've got work to do.
Laura, when are we going to take the vows?
You're not ready for marriage, Woody.
Are you kidding? You and I have been marking time for 5 years.
I know. And I still can't afford you. Food's high these days at $5 a pop. It'll be your downfall.
You mean from the curb to the gutter?
Something I can do for you?
I was looking for Mr. Woodruff.
Miss Stewart, this is David Flynn, an important new addition to the staff of the Enquirer.
Hello, Miss Stewart.
Hello, Dave.
What do you want me to do on the morgue story? Write it or phone it?
Wait for me in the press room. Be right down.
It's nice meeting you, Miss Stewart. I hope I'll see you again.
Thanks. So do I. Now beat it. I'm trying to earn an honest living.
So am I. I knew we had something in common. Now, how about that tidbit from the DA's office?
Honestly, Hugh, there's not a thing new on the Hoffman case. Not around this office.
It better be something new, and soon. The DA is supposed to be a man with the courage of his convictions, and your boss needs a conviction, but fast.
Well, why don't you put your bloodhound nose to work and sniff out a few leads? We can't start without a suspect.
See? Why should I care whether they catch the killer or not? All I want is a statement from our esteemed district attorney so I can prove to Stroud I'm not robbing him at the pay window every Saturday.
Well, how about this? The district attorney, Harvey S. Kevin, in an exclusive interview with this paper, said, quote, this office, working in close cooperation with the police department, said...
Good morning. My campaign manager will be in for these, Laura.
Yes, sir.
Oh, and I'm expecting a long-distance call. Woodruff, I see you're making yourself at home as usual.
Oh, Mr. Kevin, he'd like a statement.
Yes, I imagine he means on the Hoffman case. Well, take this down, Woodruff.
Yes, sir.
The district attorney, Harvey S. Kevin, stated today...
In an exclusive interview with this paper.
Thanks. He said, quote, this office, working in close cooperation with the police department, can promise an early arrest in the Hoffman bombing and an early conviction for the perpetrator.
Or perpetrator.
Of this heinous crime, unquote. Did you get that?
Word for word. Thanks a million, Mr. Kevin.
Not at all. This office is always glad to cooperate.
And the office includes the secretary. And I gotta file this under ho-hum. See you for dinner, same place, honey.
Remember me? The DA's office.
Oh, how have you been, Miss Stewart?
The name's Laura. Right now, I'm hungry, lonesome, and ready for another one of these. You like to join me?
Thank you. I thought Woody might be here.
So did I. I've been expecting that log for the last half hour.
Another one, Señorita Laura?
Please. Like to try one?
What are they?
Why, gin, vermouth, and tequila, senor. We call them Ramon Zombie.
All right. I'll take one. I live dangerously.
How's the newspaper business, Dave?
Well, I'm green, but I'm learning.
Woody tells me you've been spending the last 2 days trying to find out who killed Frank Hoffman.
Not getting very far with it, though.
Neither is the district attorney, I'm afraid. If Mr. Kevin can't convict somebody by election time, the city might elect itself a new DA. And the new DA might elect to hire himself a new secretary. Oh, that's a horrible thought. You'd better catch that killer if you want to keep me from losing my job.
Well, I wish I could crack the Hoffman case. I'll need more help from you than I'm getting, though. Here, why don't I take these to a table?
Muy bien, senor.
Why isn't he working on it with you?
Too busy, I guess.
Or too lazy.
He's earned the right to be lazy. He's a great newspaper man, one of the best.
He was one of the best.
I thought you and Woody were pretty close.
We are.
Well, how can you say a thing like that about him?
Because we're pretty close.
Look, Woody can afford to coast now and then. Think of the great work he's done year after year. I've been going back in the files, reading his bylines clear back to the first. You should read the feature he wrote the day our guys did Normandy Beach. Why, well, it sparkles like champagne.
Dave, even champagne loses its bubbles when it's been open too long.
But what I'm trying to say
I know what you're trying to say. Let's say it with a toast. To our mutual hero.
Is yours, Brother Woody?
Oh, yeah, the usual. Flash. What famous gentleman of the press walked into what infamous free-holy joint and found his sweetheart holding hands with his protege? Pistols at sunrise, mister.
I dropped in here looking for you, Woody, and I ran into Laura.
How many zombies ago?
Oh, this is my first.
Picks up momentum fast, doesn't it?
Dave was just telling me his troubles.
He's sitting here holding hands with my girl, and he's got troubles?
Oh, she's talking about the Hoffman case. I've been doing a little more snooping around.
Dick Tracy with a press card.
No, on the level with you. I got a hunch this case goes pretty deep. Will you listen?
With bated breath.
Well, look. Frank Hoffman was rolling in payoffs. Every time somebody wanted to open a new bar or a cafe serving drinks, he had to shell out to Hoffman for his liquor license. I talked to a guy who said he paid $2,000 for his original license, and then a year later he got hooked another $1,000 just to keep his license from being revoked.
Well, even the district attorney suspects that much. Suspecting is one thing. Proving is another.
This tavern keeper you found, will he testify?
No, he's afraid to. Local liquor board has him over a barrel.
You've got to have testimony to build a case. And don't you dig too deep, Davy. You might wind up in a drawer with an identification tag tied to your big toe. Ramon,
Sí, señor.
what do we have to eat besides the usual fried frijoles?
Oh, tenemos enchiladas muy sabrosas.
¿Tiene usted una comida corrida?
Como no, tenemos menudo, ensalada verde, guachinango, milanesa y flan. ¿Qué le parece?
Muy bien.
Yeah, get him. Pure Spanish yet.
Well, no, it's a little bit rusty, but I did have 8 semesters of it in school, plus 2 summers down in Mexico. Haven't you ever had the specialty of the house?
You mean they have something besides frijoles and enchiladas?
Sure. Do you want me to order for all 3 of us?
You might as well live dangerously.
Para 3, senor.
Como no?
Dave's been working hard on the Hoffman case. You don't give him any cooperation. Why?
Did the paper give him any cooperation? Yesterday, he had a squib on page 17 of the second section. Today, he didn't even make the classified.
What do you write about?
How he felt picking up Hoffman's torn shoes after the bomb had blown them from his feet.
Mr. Stroud said he didn't print sob stories.
He'd cut Camille down to 2 paragraphs and print it in the obits.
I think the shoe was a good angle.
Frank Hoffman, in his elevated shoes, stepped on the starter of his car. The elevator took him up.
Wish I could have thought to say it like that.
You will, when the dextrose in your blood turns to bourbon.
Touché. But the bourbon that gets mixed in my writing is well diluted with Paul Strout's ready mix.
Well, I can learn a lot from him. That man's a storehouse of knowledge.
Sure. Paul Strout's ears are a pair of bookends, and between them is a library filled with platitudes, facts, and corn.
Ramon must have spiked your drink with alum. Don't listen to him, Dave.
He's got a right to stand on his soapbox.
I don't stand on it. I hide under it.
Well, while you're hiding under it, who do you think killed Frank Hoffman?
I don't even know who killed Cock Robin.
Don't you remember? The Sparrow confessed. The story got 3 pages in Mother Goose.
Well, it'd be a feather in both our caps if we could find the killer and get the story.
Look, Junior, I've already got enough feathers to make an Indian bonnet. You write a story with hair in his chest, and Strout gives it a butch haircut with his pinking shears.
You're tired, Hugh. You need a vacation.
Well, got a roundabout way of saying something else?
Like what?
Oh, like maybe I've lost the common touch, or maybe my stuff is slipping.
Hugh, I didn't say that.
Didn't have to. I got the message.
Well, if it's in your mind, you put it there.
Maybe you two would like to be alone.
Excuse us, Dave. This is man and woman talk.
Oh, maybe you'd like to talk by yourselves.
Sit still. See how the other half lives.
I'll play some music on the jukebox.
Hey, you'll learn something. You're still wet behind the ears.
Yes, and don't try to dry him out too fast. Dave has drive and enthusiasm. You could use a little of it yourself. Only you've let yourself sink too deep in an ocean of self-pity. And you've got the literary bend.
Continued on page 2.
Yes, and 3 and 4. Maybe someday you'll find something solid to latch on to. A few ideals, for example. You used to have an assortment of them, but now you fight them off with a whip and a chair. Oh, Hugh, darling, am I getting through to you?
Shall we dance? I'd like to hang on to one of my few remaining ideals. I'll try not to step on you with my feet of clay.
Woody, I'm sorry if I caused you any trouble.
Why don't you show Ramon your driver's license, Sonny, and order us another drink? Greetings, slave. Been late this morning. Any important calls? Any world-shaking events?
Political office seeker kissed a baby. And her husband walked in.
Oh, look. Built-in shoulder holster. You left all the phone numbers.
Flynn, he keeps leaving his last number just in case you want to reach him for anything. I've known a lot of leg men in my life, but this kid is wearing his off clear up to his knees.
Footprints in the sands of time are not made sitting down. What a pity. You know, a little ambition is a delightful thing if it doesn't rub off on somebody that doesn't want it. You know, that guy could get me in a lot of trouble with my boss and with my girl. But here's a little document that'll slow that eager beaver down to my speed. You guys promise not to reveal the source? Better read that manuscript. That dizzy blonde down in the Department of Records typed every word of it for me with her little hot hand. Oh, David Flynn. Oh, that's Woodruff. Now, don't tell anybody where you're going or who you're going to meet. I'll see you in front of the Department of Records in 10 minutes. I'll see you, gentlemen.
What's up, Woody?
Look at this.
Holy cow, the mayor's wife suing him for divorce?
There's and a half of it. Look at that bill of particulars.
Wow. She accuses the mayor of drinking to excess.
Cruel and inhuman treatment.
Misconduct with other women.
Look at the list of correspondents she named. Top echelon of our social register. For that, you can knock down the walls of Jericho.
Are you giving me the scoop?
All yours, kid. Clear title. All I did was put it through escrow.
Why are you giving it to me?
Because I spent all morning in the Department of Records before I got a chance to sneak that out of the special file. A dozen people know I was in there, including the recorder himself. That story hit the street with my name on it. It wouldn't take 3 guesses to figure out where it came from. Now, you call Strout and tell him what you're bringing in.
But where will I say I got it?
Don't say. Just stand on a newspaper man's traditional rights. You won't disclose the news source.
Okay. Thanks, Woody. I won't forget this.
I'm sure you wouldn't.
As soon as they photostat this paper, I'll bring it back so you can sneak it back in the file. Hello, give me the ME. Managing editor.
Strout speaking. Say that again. The mayor, what? That's enough of the telephone. If we make one mistake in this, Flynn, we're open for a lawsuit. Pop a cab and get over here with that document. We'll make photostats.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Prider just stopped me in the hall. He's worried about holding up the edition.
I know. Mr. Prider's worries are over. Good boy. Read that, Powers. It's dynamite.
Send a couple of rewrite men up here.
What law firm prepared this case? Who's representing the mayor's wife?
Well, I didn't have a chance to read all of it, Mr. Stroud.
Let me see that. The name of the law firm should be on the final page here. Read the name of that law firm.
Prider, Powers, and Strout.
If this is your idea of a joke, I don't see anybody laughing.
No, there must be some mistake.
You knothead, this little prank of yours has held up the street edition for 15 minutes. Roll those presses. Run off the front page just the same as before.
And another rah-rah boy bites the dust.
Elsie, have they make out a closing check for Mr. Flynn.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Stroud, I didn't dream up this crummy joke. I was tricked into it.
And it cost you a job. Wasted a scholarship. If I were you, I'd sue that trickster, whoever he is. But if you seek legal redress, Mr. Flynn, I do not recommend the law firm of Pryda, Powers, and Strout.
Look, McGann, don't argue with me. You get out the beach hers and you get it. You heard me, you like to eat, don't you? Get me circulation.
How many?
I'll take 3.
Right.
Lead. And 2.
There's your scoop, Woodruff. Thanks for helping me get a byline. A byline. Well, why don't you guys give out with the laughter? That was the idea, wasn't it?
Play me hearts and flowers. You're going to have to learn to take it if you stick around here, kid. Don't cry in your beer.
Just for the record, as a point of personal interest, Stroud's thinking shears lopped me off the payroll.
Dry your eyes, kid. I'll call Stroud and get your job back.
I don't want my job back. Not that way. See, I don't want to be indebted to you, Woody, or anybody like you. I can eat crow, but I won't crawl.
Well, I guess we won't be bothered with that fresh kid anymore. Dried him off behind the ears.
I'm out. Guess I'm getting old. I don't seem to get a kick out of these things anymore.
Son, I'd like to give you a chance, but, well, I just can't risk it.
I understand, sir.
Sorry, Flynn, but when you get loused up with one newspaper, the word spreads.
Chain reaction?
We may be rivals, but we're clannish.
Yes, I do see the point, sir. They told me the same thing at the Examiner and at the Tribune.
And they'll tell you the same thing at the Chronicle, the Call, and the Bulletin. You're washed up, kid. Hold the press and spin, they call you, and not with reverence.
Thank you, sir. Pardon me.
What can I do for you?
Well, I was just passing and I saw the lights. I thought I might find a publisher.
You're looking at him.
Look, if I tell you my name is David Flynn, would you toss me right out of here?
Why should I do that?
Well, it's become a habit with publishers and editors. Mr. Bradley, I just happen to be looking for a job.
I just happen to have a job open.
You're kidding.
I never kid, son. Are you a newspaper man?
I thought I was.
Well, when can you start?
Right now, if you want.
Are you sure you understand just what kind of a paper we print here?
Well, I think so. Court advertising. Legal notices. If a judge or a statute rules that something has to be published, you publish it. A lawyer can save his client money by putting a notice in one specialized newspaper. Or he can save himself time for another client by looking up legal notices in the same specialized newspaper.
That's the best commercial I've ever had. All right, son. You're on the payroll, minimum wage. Is that all right?
Yes, sir, that's fine.
Okay, get to work. Every night you make a round of the courts. Get the daily docket. You'll start at the magistrate's court over in Highland Park. Grab the bus over to Jefferson Heights and then right across town to the East Side Night Court. Here. This will cover your car fare for tonight.
No, I'm not that low yet, Mr. Bradley. But thanks for the pat on the back.
And you plead guilty, and since you can't pay the fine, the sentence is 10 days. Next case.
Miss Porter. My name is David Flynn from the Legal Ledger. When you get a chance, I'd like a copy of the docket.
Sure. You mind waiting?
How long?
Well, we've got a short case now. We're on the arraignment the district attorney's sending over. Why not rest your feet?
Thanks. Got no idea how much I need it.
Name, Fred Finley. Arresting officer, Patrolman J. Laversky. Charge, plain drunk.
I resent the charge. When I get drunk, it's anything but plain. I do it up just as fancy as the next fellow.
Fred, this is the third time you've been up before me in a month. Can't you stop hitting the bottle?
Your Honor, I have too much affection for bottles to ever hit one.
You leave me no alternative, Fred. 30 days on the farm.
Your Honor, if you aren't careful, I'm liable to become an habitual farmer.
The man Mr. Kevin sent over?
That's right, sir. Mr. Kevin asked me to represent his office. He prepared these papers.
See them, please. The office of the district attorney charges Damasio Reyes, now in custody, with the murder of Frank Hoffman. Damasio Reyes, do you plead guilty or not guilty?
Otra vez más preguntas. No hablo inglés, señor. Yo soy de México, señor. Estoy en este país nada más 3 días.
He doesn't speak English, Your Honor. The district attorney sent along an interpreter.
My name is Rafael Garcia.
Ask the prisoner how he pleads. Tell him the charge.
El señor magistrado quiere saber de qué estado es usted.
Ah, yo soy de Jalisco.
He pleads guilty, Your Honor.
Remanded to the custody of the police. Date of preliminary hearing will be held tomorrow after conferring with the district attorney.
¿Qué pasa? ¿Me van a mandar a México?
Seguro que sí, hombre.
Really with you on that docket.
That's all right. It's quite an interesting job you've got here. How many languages do you have to know?
Only English. A little east side to cuss the janitor when he forgets to dust my office.
What do you do when you get a Spanish case like that?
Just take down everything the interpreter tells me. There's a whole list of licensed and sworn interpreters for every language you can name.
Uh-huh. Who licenses them?
The district attorney.
Hey, don't you want to wait for the docket? Mr. Bradley, you know what I got?
The docket, I hope.
No, sir, I got the biggest news story of the year.
Slim, you're working for the Legal Ledger. We don't print news here, no matter how big.
Yeah, but wait till you hear this news.
I'm listening.
Look, while I was in night court waiting for the docket, they bring in this little Mexican wetback named Damasio Reyes. He couldn't speak a word of English, and the interpreter said he was confessing to the murder of Frank Hoffman.
Well, somebody was bound to confess to it sooner or later.
But that's just it. He didn't confess to it.
What you just said.
Mr. Bradley, it was a frame-up, the dirtiest frame-up I ever saw. This little Mexican, named Reyes, thought he was in deportation court. The interpreter, in Spanish, asked him where he was from. He said in Spanish he was from Jalisco. Then the interpreter in English put in the records that Damasio Reyes had confessed to the murder of Hoffman.
You mean the interpreter was lying?
Right down the line. Damasio Reyes is only guilty of entering the country illegally 3 days ago. I'll bet he never even heard of Frank Hoffman.
Can you back up that story?
Well, sure I can. I was there.
Who else?
Nobody else except the magistrate, the clerk, 2 officers, Damasio Reyes, and the interpreter.
No. Who else spoke Spanish besides you and the interpreter and the victim?
Oh. Nobody, I guess.
Well, then you can't back up the story. You're the only witness. Your word against the interpreters.
Well, I guess those are long odds, but that's no reason to quit a story, is it?
The odds are too long for me. I can't afford to be on the wrong end of a libel suit. Good night. Flynn, I'll see you in the morning.
Look, can I just use your telephone?
Sure. Call all the papers you want. Just don't run up any long distance on me. And turn out the rest of the lights before you go. Hello? Who? No, I will not listen to it. You think I want to bankrupt my paper?
Sorry, Flynn. You're wasting my time.
Sorry, Flynn. Getting out on the end of a limb isn't one of my favorite pastimes.
Tell him I'm out. No, I don't want to see him.
Okay, you can go home now, Bob. Any action?
No.
But we got company.
Oh, good morning, Bob. How long has he been here?
I don't know.
Hello, Woody. Sit down, I want to talk to you.
Sure, what's on your mind? You look like you've been out all night.
I have. No. Here. Read that. It's my transcript of a scene I witnessed in magistrate's court last night.
Who else has read this?
Nobody. I can't use it myself, not on a legal ledger. It's all yours, the scoop of the year.
Dave, I don't blame you for trying to get even. Shouldn't telegraph your counterpunches. Saw this coming a mile away.
Look, this isn't any gag. I'm on the level.
Look, it's too bad my left-handed joke got you fired. I know the ledger's no great shakes. Best I could salvage for you.
You got me the ledger job?
Bradley owed me a favor. I'd have planted you on a big paper if I could have.
Well, I'm planted, all right. Not where I can grow. Look, what do you want to do about this?
Let it die on the vine.
You still don't believe it?
No, and who else would? You were the only witness. A story like that can get you nothing but laughter and a libel suit.
Well, what about that little Mexican? He's innocent. He's been framed.
Sure. They've all been framed. As soon as the heat's on, they trade their brass knuckles for a halo.
That doesn't apply to Ray's. Look, if you look into this case, I'm sure you can prove he's being made a sacrificial goat. Haven't you got any heart?
Yeah, but it's not big enough to bleed for every punk that gets himself in trouble. Now, take my advice, Davy. Do your job, get your paycheck, and buy a bottle. It'll help you forget Ray's.
Buy a bottle. That's all you think about. Then go home and sleep off another hangover. Well, Race is one hangover you can't sleep off. He's just an unimportant little man, but he's got feelings and a soul. But that's something you don't know about anymore. You can't even find yours.
That's a pretty fast-breaking curve you just pitched, buddy.
Look, this is the kind of stuff you used to write when you were still alive and fighting for the little guy. Now you won't even lift a hand unless it's got a bottle in it. You get the first one for free. I used to think you were a great writer, Woodruff. I wanted to be just like you in every way. Now, if it ever happens, I'll take a long walk off a short pier.
Care to buy a drink for a thirsty bee girl?
Hi, honey. Didn't see you come in.
What are you reading?
Ramon,
Si, senor.
zombie for the lady, another double for me.
Muy bien.
Oh, Hugh, I remember these. They were brilliant. What are you doing? Raking up old leaves?
No, I thought maybe I got hanging back on the tree.
I heard about an incident in the press room. Is it true that you hit Dave? Who were you fighting, Hugh? Him or yourself?
Now, don't you start in on me. I don't like these psychological squeeze plays, Laura.
Hugh, that boy had you on a pedestal. He stood at your feet looking up to you, and you kicked him in the face. Do you feel proud?
Don't needle me, Laura. I'm in no mood to take it, not even from you.
You've got jam on your face, Hugh, and it's not becoming.
And don't try to run my life or mend my ways. I won't be led around with a ring on my nose. We're rugged individualists, Laura, you and I. That's why we get along. Now, let's not start getting in each other's way.
Hugh, I fell in love with a man who was tops at his work and had fun at his play. But you've lost the touch for both. You've let yourself slide into a cynical, bitter, lazy way of life. And I don't think I feel like sliding down.
The after-dinner speeches are a little early. Stick around for the floor show. I'm going to chin myself on the curb.
Let's just be glad that it happened now instead of later. Goodbye, Hugh. See you around.
The lady won't be back, Ramon. From now on, you can make the zombies king size. One every 10 minutes until the clock strikes 2 or until I strike out.
Está bien, señor.
I can't remember. I just can't remember.
Janitor said he'd been here since 5.
Send out a boy for some black coffee.
I have it. Right here, and I lost it.
Something wrong, Woody?
Somebody gave me a story. Good story, Chief. I wouldn't follow up on it. I wouldn't believe it.
What kind of a story? Who gave it to you?
I don't know. I can't remember. I got drunk. Lost the story somewhere in a bottle.
He'll come back to you, Woody.
I lost my girl, too. And she would come back. Chief, as a person and as a newspaper man, I'm a flop. I'm through. I'm washed. Dead. I'm resigning.
I'll be seeing you, Woody.
And farewell to thou, too, Lady Guinevere.
He sure hung one on, didn't he?
When he comes out of it, he'll have a real story. It's happened before.
What's eating him?
Pangs of conscience. He'll start rebuilding his bridges tomorrow. Elsie, give him a steam bath and sober him up. I want him back on the job quick.
Yes, sir.
When Woody says he has a story, we hold the presses.
Mr. Strout, about
Yes.
the steam bath.
Yeah?
Nothing.
What if he won't come back?
He'll come back in every way.
You bet it, he's our big wheel.
Blessed be he who goes around in circles, for he shall be known as the wheel.
Quoting whom?
Another wheel.
What I said the other night still goes.
I've got my hat on a stick, Laura. Call me every kind of a heel you can think of, and I'll admit to it. I need your help.
In what way?
Can you get me all the dope on the Hoffman case and the transcript of the murder charge against that little Mexican wetback?
What are you looking for, Woody?
I remember those press clippings you read in Ramon's the other night?
I remember them very well. What about them?
I've renewed my acquaintance with the guy that wrote them.
These are only copies, but if Mr. Kevin finds out, I'll be drawn and quartered.
Thanks, Laura. Oh, and one more favor. Would you call Dave Flynn down at the Legal Ledger? I'd like to see him tonight at Ramon's about 7.
Why don't you call him yourself?
You know why? He wouldn't show. Can you try to get in there for me?
And lure that kid into another trap.
No, not this time, Laura. Knighthood is about to flower once more. Hugh Woodruff rides forth on a new crusade. The Knight of the Bath rides again. Steve Bath, that is.
Buenas noches, señorita Lola. I have a boot for you in a minute. Si lo bellezo algún porqué. ¿Ah?
Get away from me, Woody, or I'll break one of these stools over your head.
Relax, Davy. Don't hoist your battle flag.
I didn't know he was on the menu.
Well, I'm listed under desserts. Humble pie.
You knew he was going to be here, didn't you?
He asked me to bring you Dave. Now, wait a minute, Dave. Please don't go. I want you to hear something no human ear has ever listened to before. An apology from Hugh Woodruff.
I'm sorry for everything, Dave. I really am. I shouldn't have pushed you around that way. You're too nice a guy.
Oh, let's forget about it. Partly my fault. Instead of just trying to be a good reporter, I tried to be little Mr. Fix-It with a message.
It's not too late to deliver. You still want to get Race off the hot seat?
Who'd listen to me? I can't holler loud enough.
We can make an awful lot of noise in a duet. And I brought the music.
Are you on the level?
He really needs it, Dave. I'll even co-sign for him.
Come on, kid. I have a table for you. Something to drink?
I'll have a plain ginger ale, please.
I'll have the same, Emma.
You order it as usual?
I will have a tall vaso de leche.
You, Spanish?
I looked it up.
What do you order?
A tall glass of milk.
Laura smuggled this out of the files this morning. Meantime, I've covered a lot of ground. I took Ramon over to the city jail to talk Spanish with that prisoner for me. You know what? They're holding Race incommunicado.
What do you think, Woody?
Well, let's review the Hoffman case. We know he was taking payoffs and splitting the gravy with someone higher up. Someone higher up got scared that Hoffman was going to talk. Presto, bomb. Exit Hoffman.
Who do you think arranged?
Same guy that isn't too interested in finding the real killer. Reyes is in jail on a phony, trumped-up charge.
Poor guy. But eventually a court trial will clear him.
Sure, but the trial doesn't come up until after election. And with Hoffman's suspected killer in jail, it makes the DA's office look very efficient. It's a taffy apple he's feeding to the voters.
Mr. Kevin wouldn't go that far. Dave.
No? You better read that again. Who fingered the arrest of the Mexican? The DA. Who smuggled the arraignment into an empty little night court over the east side? The DA. Who hired the interpreter? The DA. Who announced that the prisoner didn't want a public defender? Any question you want to ask, the answer comes up Kevin.
Well, how can we prove that?
First, we got to find that interpreter. The records don't give his address, but it says his name is Rafael Garcia.
There's a jillion Garcias in the telephone directory.
Would that interpreter's address be in your files?
Mr. Kevin wouldn't exactly call it cricket.
Neither was railroading that little Mexican.
You're going to have my fellow countryman out of jail, no?
We're going to give it a good try, Ramon. One of your countrymen out, one of mine in. Well, instant help. Honey, if this thing works out, you're going to have a new job. Census taker calls you gals housewives.
I've got news for you. Even if it doesn't work out, I'm going to hold you to it.
The Garcia Abelardo, Garcia Domingo, Garcia Juan, or Garcia's in our list in Chicago.
Look for the very last one. I think I put it at the bottom. Who is it?
Oh, it's you, Miss Laura. I saw the light.
That's right, Mr. Carnes. We're working late tonight. See that we're not disturbed, will you, please?
Sure, Miss Laura. Sorry.
Here it is. Rafael Garcia, 1218 North San Pablo, care of the Little Mexicana Bar.
Think the number's a phony?
Check and find out. Where can I find your boss tonight in case you want to phone?
Till about 11, he'll be making campaign speeches at the Civic League Voters Dinner, Green Room Hotel Pierre. After that, you can reach him at home. Shall I give you the number? It's not in the book.
It's in my book. Thanks, honey. See you later.
Why can't I go with you tonight?
Because this is no local ball game. This is a playoff in the major leagues. Those big boys play rough.
Don't you think the police should know?
Let them read about it in the paper.
Oh, Woody, I'm scared.
I got news for you. So am I. See you, honey.
So long, Laura.
Just over your right shoulder and back.
Wait at the bar, order a couple of beers.
Yes, so there's a call for you, sir. You can take it over here. They said it was important. Thank you.
Hello, Harvey Kevin speaking. I believe you have a call for me. Yes. Hello?
Mr. Kevin, this is Woodruff, the Daily Enquirer. I can't reveal the source, but I just picked up a pretty reliable tip. That interpreter in the Ray's case might have been a plant.
A plant? I don't understand.
Well, it seems that Damasio Reyes didn't confess to the Hoffman killing. He said one thing to the court in Spanish, and the interpreter in English said it was a confession. Now, to prove this, I'm going to need your help, Mr. Kevin. The interpreter's name, according to the tip, was Rafael Garcia, but the tipster didn't know where I could find him. I figured you'd have Garcia's address in your files.
Yes, of course, but, well, I don't carry the files around with me. Why don't you meet me in my office? No, I can't leave right now. Say in 2 hours.
I'll look for you in the foyer of the City Hall. All right.
Give me an outside line.
Scare him?
I got almost here at goosebumps rising. Gave me a 2-hour stall. Empty booth over there. Let's talk to Garcia.
Raphael? 2 more beers? Well, you don't finish those yet.
No, we want to talk to you. Over there where it's private.
Right now I'm busy. Later, huh, fella?
Right now, Garcia, it's later than you think. If you don't talk to us now, you might not be talking to anybody. Ever.
This is a joke, no? You fellas maybe been hitting the beers.
No, it's no joke.
No estamos borrachos, amigo.
Speak Spanish?
And you know my name? Did I see you someplace before once?
Mm-hmm. In the magistrate's court. The night you acted as interpreter for the Maciores. Yes, I speak Spanish well enough. Well enough to testify you lied.
You talk now. Bring your beer.
You know something? I got a cousin from Nogales, the same name, Rafael Garcia. A couple of times he worked for the district attorney. That's the fellow you mean, eh? My cousin?
No, we mean you, Garcia. It'll be easy to prove once I testify.
You guys from the cops?
For the newspapers.
Newspapers? What do you want?
We'll make a deal with you, Garcia. You come over to our office and give us an exclusive for the morning edition.
What do I get?
Chance to stay alive a little longer?
Your number's coming up, Garcia. They'll be sending some hoods down here to talk to you. You want to go with us or with them?
What would they want from me?
Same thing they wanted from Hoffman. All the blood you can spare.
Wait for me. I close up the place.
You better wait by the telephone booth. We aren't out of here yet.
Okay.
Sorry, you have to go now, but I got to close the place, eh?
All right. Come back some other time soon, eh? I got to close yours.
Hello, Nick. I'm sorry you come so late in my place. I'm closing up now.
That's good, Garcia. I was going to ask you to. Me and Joe got a little business to talk over with you, privately.
What's the idea? We're closing up the joint. Run along.
Tell your girls to beat it.
Maria, Juanita, that's all. Go home now. Hurry, pronto.
I didn't get the call through.
Get rid of those two guys.
But they paid for their beers, Nick. I gotta give them time to drink it. Anyway, this is not my real closing time yet.
Yes, it is, Garcia. This is your real closing time. I'll get rid of them. Go stand by the door when they go out. Lock it.
Sure, Nick.
Sorry, boys. Garcia's closing up.
This man's been shot.
What's this all about?
Those two men. Garcia will tell you about it. You better get him to the hospital.
Come on. Si, senor. I will talk.
Hold these two. I'll send the wagon. All right, bring it up, bring it up. We gotta get this story in. Cost all my change. That's Woody, Chief. I got a great story for you. Exclusive. Your ace reporter scooped everybody. You're not going to get the story unless you give it a byline. You heard what I said, a byline. Tell him Flynn spelled with 2 N's.
Woody, you've been through this ritual before.
Mr. Prider's traditional acknowledgement of a job well done.
A medal on the chest and a kiss on the cheek.
I had a presentation quote all worked up, but it was too corny even for me.
To Woody Woodruff, a newspaper man's newspaper man.
Yeah, they even loused this one up with engraving.
Oh, but darling, it personalizes it.
I know, but it cuts down its resale value. I wanted to swap that off for an engagement ring.
Dave, all I can say is you've got the makings.
Mr. Stroud, I like that better than the watch.
Dave,
Now, what was that for?
for acting as your seeing-eye dog.
All right, folks, the show is all over. Let's get back to work, boys and girls.
Excuse me, I'm here to see Mr. Stroud.
Paul. Yes? What can I do for you?
Mr. Stroud, I believe you're expecting me. My name is Lynn, State School of Journalism, winner of the Prider Scholarship.